Hey everyone, I hope you can see me. I'm about to put it up on my screen here. Say hello in the chat box and tell me where you're from. I want to see who's representing us right now. And I'm clicking on this here, so I should be able to see your comments in 1 second. Give me 1 sec while it loads. 1 more minute. All right, hey everyone. So the stream is right here, Luke. We start at 7, so it might show up a little bit earlier, but it always starts at 7. All right, guys, hey, let me know where you're from in the chat. I know a lot of you have been on here before. Yeah, man, representing Liverpool today. And today we're going to go over a few different questions. We're going to be going over, as you can tell from the title, will college soccer actually help you become a professional soccer? And these questions I'll be going over will be questions that you guys asked me on the Instagram post that I posted the other day. I'm going to try and start posting them a little earlier. As you guys know, I'm Dave here from Simply Soccer. Every single day we release a video in order to help you improve your game through tips, technique, and training videos. And we do these live streams where I kind of hang out with you and answer your questions every single Friday. So let's see who we have here. We have India, North Carolina, Quebec in Canada, Atlanta, North Carolina, West Africa, is that supposed to say Venezuela? Because I've never heard of a Venezuela. Ecuador, but you live in Maryland. I'm actually visiting Maryland sometime soon. Australia, Venezuela, Cali, Michigan. All right, cool. So we got a lot of places represented right now. Okay, and we're going to get right into the questions in a moment. So as you know, we're going to cover the questions I have here from your Instagram questions, and then at the very end, we will go over what questions you guys have right now as we go through this. So keep your questions in mind so I can answer them at the end. Savage Wolf says they have that he or she has a game tomorrow. So do I. We both got games tomorrow, so that's going to be cool. All right, guys, so we're going to get right into this. Starting off with the first question, which is, how does your pregame, and actually Savage Wolf, this will be good, what does your pregame meal or snack look like, and what is like pregame nutrition do's and don'ts? And this, I've gone back and forth with this, but I honestly like to not complicate it too much. I like to eat a good meal the night before. I really focus on that, especially if I have a morning game, because if I have a game at like 8, 9, 10 in the morning, there isn't too much I'm going to be able to eat, and I don't want to eat that much leading up to that game the next morning. I want to make sure I'm getting the proper nutrition in the night before instead of trying to pack all this stuff in before the game. So before a game, like a few hours before a game, I don't eat that much at all. Honestly, I let the nutrition that I've had leading up to that kind of take effect. I might have like a light snack, something healthy, maybe like some fruit, maybe some nuts or something like that. Never anything heavy. I mean, the last thing you want is to be running onto the pitch, not have that food digested, and then, I mean, if any of you have ever played with food in your stomach, you know how sucky that is. So that's what you don't want to be doing. It's more of like what not to do than what to do. In general, you should be eating healthy as much as you can. I mean, it's kind of the sacrifice you have to make to be a good soccer player. And we're talking about college. Does college help you go pro? If you want to be a good college player or a pro player, diet and nutrition is going to be an important factor in that. So as long as you're eating healthy for, most of the time, as long as you're eating well, you have good nutrition, like your diet's good, and you're like, you're doing your research, you're getting your good meals in, you'll be fine. Just the thing is, don't eat too close to mealtime. Now, there are pregame things you can take, like certain supplements and things, and that's like going to be up to you. I personally don't, but I know players who do, and that's something you're going to have to experiment with yourself to see if your body reacts well to that. In fact, I've actually did try that a long time ago. I did stuff like I tried taking a 5-hour energy once before a match, and that was a huge mistake. I almost threw up on the field, so I don't recommend that. But in general, just make sure you're eating healthy. And one thing to kind of tie into that is eating healthy does not mean eating healthy the night before. You should eat healthy the night before. Eating healthy means eating healthy all the time. It's no good to eat like crap for like weeks leading up to your game and then eat healthy like for the 2 days before your game and call that good nutrition, because that hasn't given your body enough time to recover from all that crap you've been eating. You need to be eating well generally, and what I like to follow or tell players is follow the 80-20 rule, which just means eating clean 20% of the time and then eating fun 20% of the time. So maybe, for example, you'll reward yourself with a cheat day once a week. I wouldn't do it before your game, but maybe earlier in the week. So that's one thing you can go about. But as far as nutrition is concerned, it's very important. Just focus on eating healthy, getting good greens into your diet, good fruit, good carbs. Sweet potatoes is one I recommend. A good protein, you can eat red meat, but try and avoid it. I like leaner, like chicken, fish, stuff like that's really good. But leading up to the game, just don't overcomplicate it and don't eat that much on the day of the game. If you are, make sure it's hours before that match. And if you do take something pregame, like sometimes I'll eat a banana or something, but usually not much more than that. Okay. Someone said, what about eggs? Eggs are good. For breakfast, as long as it's hours before your game, eggs are fine. That's a really good source of protein. So, let's get on to the next question. And by the way, that question was from the Phrasing Goff of all time, something like that. Okay, next question from Instagram is from Samal. I think it is, how can I play with my head up and make quick decisions in tight spaces? And honestly, I'm going to answer the third question as well, because it's from Trinks18, which says, how can I improve my speed of play? And I think these tie together really, really well. Okay, so playing with your head up and making quick decision making in tight spaces comes with a lot of practice. You can't expect yourself to be able to react and have that reaction time without that practice. It just comes with a lot of experience. But to answer how can I improve my speed of play, a lot of that's going to come from your awareness and how much you practice. So how aware are you of what's around you? If you know where your opponents are at all times and where your teammates are at all times, it makes it a lot easier for you to play quickly, because if you get the ball and you have no idea what's around you, you can't play quickly because you'll be passing blindly and giving the ball away. But if I, for example, know I have a teammate to the right of me, a teammate sort of to the left of me, and I have my back pass, and I know I have a defender who hasn't closed me down properly, then I know, okay, I can quickly turn out that way and play my teammate, which by effect, actually speeds up my play because I know what's going on around me. But in that same situation, if I get the ball and I have no idea what's behind me, I have no idea where my teammates are, I have no idea where the defenders are, that's going to slow me down because I have to take a couple seconds to figure that out. So one thing is just, I say this a lot, is continually survey the field. Check over your shoulder all the time. If you watch professional matches a lot, you'll notice that professional players do this not just like a couple times a match, but every single time before they receive the ball, for the most part, they'll check to see what's there. And if they don't, they'll just get crunched by a tackle, or they'll lose the ball, something that really frustrates me when I do it and other players do it is they will pass the ball first time when they have a ton of space to turn into. And I know plenty of you have probably seen this in matches where they have so much space and they can just turn into it and run forward, but they just pass it blindly because they have no idea what's going on back there. So that's how you're going to improve your speed of play, your awareness. The other way to improve your speed of play is practice. One of the best ways for me is practicing against the wall, controlling the ball, turning, moving into different space and turning with the ball, playing it back against the wall and doing everything faster and faster each time. This will improve your touch, your reactions, your passing speed, your decision making, which then combined with awareness is going to help you. But also getting yourself in those game situations, meaning playing often in actual matches, is going to help this as well, because the more experience you have dealing with these situations, the better you're going to be able to do them in the future. So playing with your head up, so we just did quick decisions in tight spaces. Quick decisions in tight spaces is the same thing, except now it's in tight space instead of a lot of space. Playing with your head up, there seems to be this, because I know a lot of you, this happened to me when I was a kid. Our coaches would tell us, you got to have your head up at all times. This is not true. You do not need to have your head up at all times. It's almost impossible to play with your head up like this at all times. You got to look down at some point. Watch Messi, watch Ronaldo, watch the best players. Their heads are down a lot. But the way they know where everyone is again, they have that awareness to look up at strategic times to recognize what's going on around them. So it's not that you have to have your head up all the time, it's that you need to pick it up at strategic moments to continually survey the field and update what you know is going on around the field. Okay, so that's the big thing is you need to just recognize you do not need to have your head up all the time like this, never looking at the ball. You just need to get your head up sometimes to recognize what's around you. And again, that's going to improve your speed of play. And someone asked, why is Messi so much better than Ronaldo? They live in the same country and have access to the same training resources. ask me that question again at the end because I got to get through these ones. But I can give you a theory. All right, so we're gonna get into the next question, and it's the main question from Marl Long M: is college soccer a good way to become a professional? There's two sides to this. There are many people who say the college system is great because you can get contacts with coaches, you get the contacts you need, people can see you play at a high level, and then you can make that step up. While other people, say that it's bad because if you're already good enough at 18 or 17 or whenever you would be going into college, you're kind of wasting time playing at that level if you're better than that level, where you could be trying to become a pro at 18 and 19. So honestly, it's all about what you want. What are your aspirations and goals? For me, I was fine. I grew up in the U.S. for most of my life. I moved here when I was like 3 or 4. So, I grew up in the U.S. and like for my whole life, the whole kind of process was you go to college to play the next level. There wasn't really a pro step at all. There were, there were players who sometimes would, but there wasn't really. Today in the U.S. there are academies and things, but even like that, even in today's game in the U.S., it's still a little weird. It's not like Europe where they pluck players from very early ages and kind of build them up in their academies. They're getting better at that over here, but when I was a kid, they didn't have that. So it was basically you had your club teams or like your youth teams that were just local teams. Then you had your school teams like middle and high school, and then from high school and we had club teams as well there. They would scout you and you go to college, and then if you were good enough in college, you'd sometimes make the draft or you'd go right to a pro afterwards, like that. So for me, in today's age, it all depends. I'm a big, if I could do it differently, I would totally have tried to go pro young. At 17, 18, I would have tried. College soccer was great. I loved college soccer, and I would totally speak for college soccer, but I went to college not to study. Like, college is for school first and foremost, for the most part, to get a degree, to get an education. I didn't care about that. Maybe that's not the right thing to say, but that's the truth. I didn't really care about that. I went there because I wanted to play soccer at a high level. That's essentially why I did it. So if I had the choice to do it over and I was 18 today, and I thought myself good enough, I had trained well enough, I would have been contacting coaches. I would have been trying to make it on some lower tier teams I know about now. I would have been trying to do that because I would have much rather have tried to rise through the ranks professionally than go from college. Now so that's like kind of the bad thing about college is if you're a really good player, you come out at the age of 22, and if you look over at Europe, their good players are in their teams at 17, 18, 19, 20. They're not waiting till 22, 23 when most of the good college players are coming out and getting into the draft and all that. And the other problem is when you're in college, you're playing other colleges. When you're a professional team, you're playing other professionals at varying levels, meaning if you're an 18-year-old playing professionals, you're probably going to get better than the college player playing other college players. Now, here's what I like about college soccer. One, it is a high level. You can't be there's no bad college player for the most part. You might find a few average or squad players, but for the most part, these are players who coaches have seen and recruited them. They've seen players and said, I want that player on my team. They've contacted them, they've recruited them, or players gone to a tournament and done really well, and the team's been like, okay. So it's the same scouting process. So it is a high level. I did learn a lot in college, so I like that part of it. Second, it's good for connections. Because these college coaches, they know other coaches, they know professional coaches, they know people they can put you in contact with. Like, for example, my college coach, he's always, even today, he's still letting me know when there are tryouts going on. He got me in contact with a professional team, which I missed out on through injury, unfortunately. There are players from my college who I played with who went on to the professional level. So you can go college to pro, even if you don't go through the draft, because it was D3. D3 is not eligible for the draft. Only D1. I don't even know if D2 is. The system's really strange. But I've known players who have done it. So it's not impossible at all. Really, when it comes down to it, if you're good enough and you have the right connections, which you will develop in college, you can make it. That's the thing. Like, how hard are you willing to work? How much are you willing to put yourself out there? And that's what's going to come down to you, because there's no superstar player that wants to go pro that doesn't usually eventually get signed somehow. Because if he's being proactive, if he's amazing and he's doing the things that he needs to do and going to the things he needs to go to, contacting the coaches, he'll get on the team. That's the thing. It doesn't always come. You could not play college. You could be a 22-year-old player who never played college, never played pro, but is amazing. Go to the right tryouts, contacts the right coaches, develops the right connections, and could become a pro. So, if for those of you who are looking to go to college to play soccer, just ask yourself why you're doing it. If the why is because you want to get a degree, then go for it, because that's going to be a great way to not only get better at soccer while going for that degree you want or further education or whatever it is. If soccer's all you want to do, you're not really interested in academics, whatever it is, it's maybe worth at least considering to go straight to pro in that route. It's going to take a lot of work on your part, obviously, because you have to be good, you have to be disciplined, you have to develop connections. But your club coaches have connections. Your school coaches probably have connections. Get friendly with these guys. Become like friends with your coaches, and make the connections you need to make. And then it's just going to be up to you. I think both routes are good. Again, because college, you're going to get those connections you need. But there are definitely some downsides to it as well. So that's really my answer. I think yes, college soccer can be a good way to go pro. But it all depends on what your goals are. So if you think you're good enough at 18, and you have the connections to do so. So let's say you're 18 and you have a choice between going to college, but this professional team also wants you. Then it comes down to, why are you doing it? If soccer's your passion, it's the only thing you want to do, then I would say you might as well go take that chance and try and go pro. But if you want to get that degree, you want that safety net, you want, which in today's day and age isn't always the case, but you want that education, go do college. And you still want to play at a high level, go do college. Just make sure you pick a good program, because there are some programs out there that aren't that great. Okay? So that's that long-winded question. Next up is, and guys, don't worry, I'm going to be answering your questions. Remember, save them for the end when we're answering the questions from the chat. Right now, I'm answering the Instagram questions. Okay, so next is from Yazan Saman 19 is, I'm very fast, thankfully, but I get tired so quickly. How do I raise my stamina? Good question. A lot of you have been asking this recently on videos. How do you improve stamina, endurance, all that? And it just comes down really to how consistently you're doing certain drills, certain exercises. This is something I've been doing to get prepared for my season. There's two things you think about when it comes to your endurance when it comes to running. There's your actual cardiovascular endurance. So, are you out of breath? Can you run for a long time without getting caught out of breath? And then there's muscle endurance. If you've ever heard of lactic acid buildup, you need to improve your lactic acid buildup tolerance. So they're two different things. So cardiovascular is, basically, how can you run without getting winded? Can you do fart-like training without getting winded? And lactic acid tolerance is, if you ever run for a while and you notice your legs get heavy, that's because of a buildup at lactic acid. And the way to counter that and get better at it is to do those things that actually tire your legs out. And you keep doing it more and more and more to the point where you build up a tolerance to it. So one thing I like to do is I like to do interval training. Interval training is essentially you're running at, it's more soccer specific because you're kind of jogging and then sprinting and then jogging and then sprinting. Because in a match, you're not sprinting the whole time, but you're also not jogging the whole time. You're kind of walking, jogging, sprinting. It's like short bursts, walking, jogging, sprinting. Some positions run more than others, but that's generally how it goes. So two good drills is one, interval training, like I just said. So when I go to the gym, I'll usually do 20 to 30 minutes of interval training. I'll do a 5-minute kind of jog warm up. And then every minute or minute and a half, I will sprint for 30 seconds or so. So it'll be I've done my warm up, and then I will do a full or close to full sprint, 90% for 30 seconds. Then I'll rest for a minute and a half. Not rest completely, I'll be jogging. So I'll be jogging at the pace I was going at, and then I'll do another sprint at about 90. Usually this is on a treadmill, so it's kind of hard to do 100. But I'll do another sprint, and then I'll, again, jog for a minute and a half. 30 seconds, another sprint. Then I'll make it a little more difficult. I'll be jogging, I'll wait a minute, then sprint. Jog for a minute, 30 seconds sprint. So this is more game realistic because you are not just doing you're not just jogging the whole time, which is, it's not realistic. And you're not just sprinting the whole time, which you won't be doing anyway. You're mixing it up. Now, There's also fartlek training, which I recommend because you can do that at a field and it's a little more realistic because you can turn and pivot and all of this stuff. And fartlek training basically is you're going to walk, jog, and sprint for a certain amount of time. So you might walk for like 20 seconds, then jog for 20 seconds, and then do a full out sprint for 20 seconds. It's something like that. I haven't done it. I think it's more like you sprint for 10 seconds, jog for 20, walk for 30 or something, and you just keep doing that for a certain amount of time. And by the end of it, you've kind of replicated a match experience cardiovascularly. And this is not only going to help your cardio, but this will help your lactic acid buildup. So I think that's a great way to build stamina. Okay, so let's keep moving along. I'm going to answer a few more questions I have here. If I don't get to your questions, I'm sorry. We do these every Friday, so don't worry. Keep your questions coming. I'll post another thing on Instagram, and I am going to get to your questions in here in a moment. So next one is from Christophe_12. I am already a first team player on my team and a captain, but I don't know what should be my next objective. In parentheses, I'm a midfielder. Okay. I'm not sure. Okay, I kind of get what you're saying. So you're saying you're a first team player, you're a starter, and you're the captain of your team. So you're like, what's the next step? What's the next level? Well, there's a few things you can do. You should always be making your own personal objectives. So getting in the first team and becoming captain's a good personal objective. It's also like a team objective as well. But now you just need where you have to understand whenever you're setting a long-term goal or personal goal is you need to understand where do you want to go. Yeah, I can't tell you what your goals should be because I don't know what your goals are. I don't know much about you. I don't know what your aspirations are, your motivations. So you need to determine what do you want to do. Do you want to go pro? Do you want to just become a high-level player? I don't know how old you are. Maybe if you're not college age yet, do you want to play college? Do you want to just play for fun? I don't know where you're at right now. Actually, I know where you're at. You've told me you're here, which is first team and captain. So what is this? What is this to you? What is the next level to you? You need to define that, and then you can make the goals to get there. So you're in the first team and captain. Maybe you want to become the MVP of the league. Maybe you're a midfielder. Maybe you want to become one of the most creative players in the league. Maybe you want to move on to a team that's even better because I don't know how good your team is. But these goals you have to set for yourself. I can't tell you what it is because my goals are going to be different than yours. They're going to be different than other people's goals who are in the chat right now, other people's goals who are doing Instagram. So you need to define what it is for you. Where do you want to go? What is it you aspire to do? Because you already know where you are, which is the first step. That's good. That's actually better. Most players don't even know where they are. But you know that. Now you just need to find where you want to go, and then you can make the steps to get to that level. Then when you get there, same process. It's always an ongoing process, right? Even for the best players in the world, the Messis and the Ronaldos are able to play so well each and every year because they're like, okay, I'm here. How can I do even more this year? How can I get to that next level? And if you've ever seen a player that kind of drops off, it might be because one of the reasons they get too comfortable. They're like, I'm here, whatever. I'm really good. I don't need these goals. A lot of the times, players will get too comfortable when they get to a certain level. But the best players in the world are the ones who continue to climb and they define it for themselves. What are their goals? So you need to just define that for yourself and then move towards it. Okay, so here's the last question we're going to answer here. Then I will answer your questions in the comments. So hold out on them for a sec. So from _Rafi.alas_ how to improve your confidence in a match. I know you've already done a video on it, but I'm just wondering if you have any specific techniques you can do every day and how long until they start having a positive impact on your performance. Okay, so how to improve your confidence in a match. I have a few things for you. First and foremost is you have to understand that confidence, like anything in soccer or life really, is a skill. Confidence is not some God-given birthright. It's not some innate quality. It's not something that, someone has then someone doesn't because they were born with it. It's something that's developed, whether subconsciously or consciously. For you, it's going to be consciously because many people, maybe you've grown up with who seem really confident, it's probably because they subconsciously developed it just because of their environment or the way they grew up. They subconsciously developed confidence. But the confidence you'll develop by consciously working on your confidence is going to be so much higher than that. It's not a bad place. So there are a few things you can do. First and foremost, you have to analyze what you're telling yourself on a daily basis. A lot of our lack of confidence becomes from a poor self-image, where a lot of us, and I used to do this a lot, and sometimes I'll catch myself doing this and I have to, but because I've worked on kind of monitoring how I'm talking to myself, I'll be able to catch it and stop it. So whenever you catch yourself saying things to yourself like, I don't know what it is for you, but like you're getting angry at yourself, or saying things like you're not good, or saying like you can't do that. You need to catch yourself and stop you there, because these things are contributing to you not being confident. The way you talk to yourself is going to determine how confident you are. I mean, think of a player who goes up to take a penalty and is nervous. What do you think is going through his head? What thoughts do you think you're going? He's probably thinking things like, what will happen if I miss? Will people make fun of me if I miss? Am I going to miss? I'll probably miss. And all of the thoughts that he's having are contributing to making him not confident and becoming nervous. Well, if another player steps up and goes, I'm going to score this, I've done it hundreds of times before, I'm going to put it in that corner, I'm not going to miss, he's already thinking of like, I'm going to score. He's so confident that the thoughts in his head are contributing to his belief that he's going to score. And that's essentially what confidence is. Confidence comes from your thoughts for the most part. Now, there are different ways to kind of develop those thoughts, because I know, it's not something you can do overnight. You have to work on this. But every time you have that negative self-talk, catch yourself doing it, because a lot of it is subconscious, which just means we don't even notice that we're doing it. So try and catch yourself and change it. So if you're saying something like, I can't do that, just change it and go, you know what, actually I can if I put in the work. Something like that, okay? That's one thing to do. Second thing I'll give you, and this is something that I mention all the time, is that visualization technique I always go over. Do that every single day for 10 minutes. That's all you need to do. 10 minutes, visualize yourself playing amazing in a match. Think of every little detail. Think of every little moment you would usually be in a match, and visualize yourself doing it perfectly. And you'll be amazed the effect this has on your confidence, okay? So that's what I'm going to leave you with. And that's all we're going to do for Instagram. Let's see what questions we have. So let's start asking. Great beard, bro. Thanks, Nate. I gotta trim this down a little though. It's getting a little wild. All right, so we got from Emily Palmer. Hey, today I have a game at 8 p.m. and every time when I get there, I get scared and it affects my performance. Emily, that visualization technique I just mentioned, try that out. There is a video. If you after this live stream is over, leave a comment on the live stream, not in the chat box, but on the actual video when it's done processing, asking for the technique, and I will send you the video because it goes over a technique you can do specifically before games that'll help you to become more confident in the game. So make sure you ask me for that. G11 says, does height matter? No. This is a misconception. The height does not matter in soccer. You can be 5 foot and be a better player than me, who's 6'3". Now, it might determine what position you play, but you can give me any position and I can name a short and tall player in each single one of those positions. Striker, Michael Owen, won the Ballon d'Or in 2001. He was very short. Zlatan Ibrahimovic, he's 6'5", one of the best strikers in the world. Goalkeepers, Hugo Lloris, he's not a tall goalkeeper. Courtois, very tall goalkeeper. Let's see, what other positions? Center mid, who's a small center mid? Now I'm trying to think. I would need to look up some of them. But the point is, it doesn't matter how tall you are. This is a misconception. People think like, oh, you have to be a certain height or a certain body type to become a good a professional player or a good player. Not really. You can be an incredibly tall player or incredibly small. You can think Maradona and Messi are not tall players, but they were two of the best in the world. You can look at even like ridiculously tall strikers like Peter Crouch, who was 6'9" or something. I don't even know, but he was an incredible striker. You can always find an example of a player like this, and your height only limits you if you allow it to limit you. Any of your physical attributes limit you if you allow them. Now, that's not to say, like, if you're overweight, that's because you've been unhealthy. That's something you need to work on. Obviously, that won't work. But for things like genetics, like height, no, it really doesn't. So, what's the best goals you've ever scored in the real game? Be honest. Okay. Be honest. Oh, I scored a bicycle kick from 50 yards and chipped the keeper. You should have seen it. I wish I caught it on video. Trust me, it happened. No. The best goal I ever scored in a real match, I can tell you the most most important goal I scored in a match was in a semifinal in college, conference semifinal. I scored an overtime winner. You can actually look it up. If you look up Alvernia men's soccer versus, who did we play? Oh man, Alvernia men's, I think Lycoming or something. We won in double overtime and I scored the header. It wasn't it was a good header. It wasn't an impressive goal, but it was very important. The best goal I've ever scored, it's actually hard. Believe it or not, I've scored quite a few. I don't know how far back we're gonna go, but I've scored a goal once where the ball was kind of shot by a teammate, and I was kind of a little inside the 18-yard box, and he scuffed the shot, and I let it go through my legs, and I backheeled it, and it went into the corner. That was a good one. One when I was older, I scored a free kick from 35 yards, kind of just whacked it into the upper corner. And one recently, I'll give you a recent one because that will be in memory. One recently, in a few months ago, I scored an 11v11 match, a volley where the ball, again, one of my teammates hit it, he mishit it and it was spinning, and I hit it with the outside of my foot and it spun into the upper corner, and that was a good one. And I'm going to try and get a lot more of these games on film so I can actually catch some of these goals. But no, I've scored quite a few good ones. It's hard to describe them without showing footage. I can just say them, but obviously footage is always a lot better. So, most in a single game. Oh, I'm sorry, man. So, can you replicate this? Okay, the question I asked was, what was I'm rambling about crap that you didn't even ask. Okay, so what was the most goals you've ever scored in a single game? How did you feel that game mentally and physically, and can you replicate those feelings for the future? Okay. So, for the sake of this question, I'm not going to count indoor because there was an indoor game where I scored 9 or 10 goals, but it was against a pretty poor opponent, so I'm not counting that. In an outdoor actual game, the most goals I've scored, I think it may have been 4 or 5 in a summer league match. I think it was 4. And mentally and physically, and that's actually a really good observation because on the day I was feeling really good mentally, really good physically. My body felt good and energized. Mentally, I was really confident. I finished every chance that I had, and it just it's amazing because when you're a good player, and for those of you who know you're at a good level right now, the difference in your game or the difference in the way you play when you're feeling good and when you're feeling not so good is amazing because I've had games against poor opposition, not good opponents, where I felt like crap, where I've been mentally weak and I've done nothing, scored no goals, not even close to scoring. And I've had games against really good opposition where I've scored a ton of goals because mentally I was just turned on. Physically, my body felt great. I was loose, I was fast, I was quick, I was reacting. So that's a good point. How to recreate that feeling? One thing I've been using for the mental side of that is using that visualization technique. Again, that thing puts me just in the zone, man. That visualization technique really, really allows me to play incredible. A lot of the great goals I scored, when I misinterpreted your question, came from games when I used that technique. Because things click when I use that visualization technique. And again, I'm gonna send that to you guys. I can't send it right here, but anyway, when I used that technique, it really worked. Physically, the only way you can really prepare is just make sure you're doing the right things consistently. You're eating right, you're working out when you need to, you're not tiring yourself out before matches. But a lot of your energy will come from your mentality as well. So let's see here. Is there an argument going on, or does someone just tell me to drink bleach? Nah, I prefer a teammate. How to get better football IQ? Oh, whoa. What's that? Did someone just give me £1? That's awesome. Hey, thank you, T-Chick. Yo, if you got a question, let me know. You can give me money? What? All right, cool. Let me answer this question. Shaquille, SimplySoccer, how to get better football IQ and make smart plays and play... Oh, question went away. And play more 1-2s and more 2-touch. Okay, there's a lot of questions, Shaquille. But how to get better football IQ? A few methods. watch a lot of professional matches, high-level professional matches. Watch the Premier League, watch La Liga, watch the Italian Serie A, watch the World Cup in 2018, watch the Champions League. Holy hell, if you're not watching the Champions League this year, you are missing out. PSG and Barcelona, freaking Leicester's in the quarters. Start watching the Champions League, man. That'll teach you a lot. But yeah, Soccer IQ really comes from... I'm just blown away someone gave me money there. Thanks so much, man. T-Chick, thank you. Watch a lot of games. Like, a lot of the Soccer IQ I developed and a lot of the things that I developed came from watching a lot of professional matches. Now, I didn't recognize that at first because I just love to watch. I love to play. So I just kind of naturally did that. But when I kind of boiled it down and went, how do I know that these things are going to happen? How am I able to read the game like I am? It's because I'm watching professional players do it. And when you're watching these games, say to yourself, why did they do that? It's not good enough just to watch. Like, whenever I watch games with my dad all the time, or sometimes some friends, and one of the things we'll always be commenting during the game, like, oh, that was a good play, oh, you should have done that. Always be analyzing the game so you can kind of get used to what good decision making is and what bad decision making is, so that you don't do that in your own matches. Now, you will from time to time, but it gives you a better chance. And I can tell you, even when I was younger, I used to watch a lot of games. And I remember one moment in particular, I saw a guy do a move and beat 2 defenders in a match. And I had a match that weekend. I did the exact same move to beat 2 defenders in the score. So, things you watch in matches, you will be able to bring over to your own matches, okay? So that's one way. The next is you are, through experience, going to become smarter, a more intelligent soccer player. Now, the thing is, there are players who can go have a lot of match experience who have no soccer intelligence, and then there are players that are, because there's a big difference between just mindlessly going through a match and then not learning from your mistakes and not getting better at areas you're good at, and players who analyze their matches, who are focused during them and all that. So the way to get better through match experience is, after your matches, think over your match. What did you do well? What didn't you do well? Think, how can I improve what I didn't do well? How can I do better? Was my coach telling me that I need to keep doing this and I'm not doing it? How can I work towards making sure I do that more? That's going to improve your soccer intelligence. And I think one of the things you also said was how to do more two-touch kind of intricate play. A lot of give and goes and things is going to come down to your movement. It's also going to come down to your teammates. But just pass and move. Make it instinctual that every single time you pass, you're also on the move right away. Because I think a lot of players get into this tendency to pass it and admire the pass. And this is actually a problem I had for a long time. I used to do this all the time when I was a kid, all the time. And coaches used to get so mad at me for doing this. And it wasn't until later that I was like, maybe I should probably stop doing this. And I would pass the ball and I'd be like, oh, that was nice. And I would just watch and see what happens. And I wouldn't join in for the rest of it. So pass and move. As soon as you make that pass, know what space you're going to move into. And that'll just open up more for give and goes. And also remember, with give and goes, 1-2s, don't force them. Because sometimes I'll see it you want to play them. Do it if the situation calls for it. Okay? Quick click TV. Looks like my thing's frozen. But are you a professional? No, I am not a professional. I actually was invited to a pro soccer team's training camp recently, a month or so ago, but I had to pull out through injury. I'm still in contact with that coach, so hopefully what I'm doing now is kind of working back from injury, playing some matches to get some match sharpness back, and then when I'm in really good fitness again, I'm going to they'll be doing it again in the fall. I'm going to try again. But right now I've been having a lot of injury problems, and my main goal is just I need to get over them. So I'm doing certain workouts to prevent it from happening again. But I will keep you updated on that stuff. How long have you been playing soccer? Good question. I've been playing my whole life. Now, if you mean how long have I been playing on an actual team in an actual league, I've been playing since I was 7. That was the earliest I could play here in the States. Which I know for those of you who are in Europe, that sounds really stupid, and it is. But 7 was the earliest I could play on an actual team. But before that, I actually was born in England, in Cambridge, of all places. And, my dad gave me a ball from when I could walk. And before I could walk, I would throw the ball around, but there's footage of me like kicking the ball around when I'm like 2 and like falling over when I'm kicking it. So like I've had a ball at my feet for like my whole life. Then I came to the States and I just fell in love with the sport so quickly that I just played it all the time. I played other sports, but there was just something about football that I was drawn to. I loved it. I loved just everything about it. So I played, even though I wasn't, I wasn't on an official team until 7, but they had like team things, like events, like camps and stuff I'd play in. But no, my first like actual team within an actual league where there were other teams that had points and playoffs and things like that was 7. Okay. I like this question. Ruslan Semenko asks, what pro soccer player has the best vision? That's a hard question, man. Holy crap. What player? Okay, so I don't know who would have the best, but I'm going to give you some that I really like, past and present. Actually, he's not past. Xavi Hernandez. When he was at Barcelona, dude saw the whole pitch at all times. Andrea Pirlo. Is it Andrea? I don't know. Pirlo. Incredible vision. Paul Scholes. Insane vision. Zinedine Zidane when he was playing. Messi, right now, I know Messi doesn't get the plaudits for his vision, but his vision's insane. Some of the passes he'll pass, and because he's so technical, he's able to do it as well. So that's another one. Mesut Ozil does have good vision, although I'm starting to move away from praising Mesut Ozil because he's not showing up in matches, but he does on his day have incredible vision. Let's see. Yeah, also Toni Kroos, that's another good one. Actually underrated. Xabi Alonso. Being a Liverpool fan, let me just tell you, Xabi Alonso, even he's retired now, or retiring at the end of the season, but he was his vision and ability to play long passes, I would consider one of the best. I don't think he gets enough credit for it because when you think of the players, you think of Pirlo, you think of Scholes, like I mentioned, you think of Xavi and Iniesta and Messi, and Xabi Alonso, because I don't know what it is about him that doesn't get him put up there with those players, but I think he's right up there with them with his vision. His ability to pick out a pass, but not only to pick out a pass, but to see a pass, which is what vision is, was amazing. Like if you look up a Real Madrid Xabi Alonso highlight video, and it's insane what like some of the stuff he would do. And he just got better and better like as years went along. I mean, he went from, what was it, Real Sociedad, I think, don't grill me if that wasn't his first club, to Liverpool, Real Madrid, then Bayern Munich, where he's going to retire. You don't have that kind of career unless you're like world class at a lot of things. So that's another one. I will donate $25 if you spell Cristiano Ronaldo. I don't want you to give me money, man. ODLANORONAITSIRC. There you go. Don't actually give me money. So let's get another question. I have a question. I'm a midfielder and I'm having trouble shooting. He came to me. Oh, my friend. I'm sorry. My friend is a midfielder and he has trouble shooting. He came to me for help since I play both RM and ST. What should I tell him? I don't want to ruin his future. The game lane. So I have a video called How to Shoot a Soccer Ball with Power and Accuracy from Far. That's probably the best tutorial I have right now for shooting. And the reason I like it is because I don't just go over like technique. I show you like where on the ball you need to be hitting, where on your foot you should be generally hitting the ball. So show him that video and just tell him to practice this technique over and over and over again, and his shooting will become better. The thing with it is once you've learned the technique, you have to recognize first and foremost, technique trumps power. And I went over this in a recent video, like how fast you swing at the ball to a certain point doesn't really matter. The connection you make with it, which is to say your technique, is really what counts. Like I hit the living crap out of the ball, swinging at a very moderate pace, but the only reason I hit it powerfully and accurately is because I hit the ball correctly. Technique always beats power in this case, so show him that video, tell him, to practice against the wall until he has the technique like as second nature, the muscle memory built in, and you will improve your shooting through doing that. Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. Definitely recommend that thing. So, okay, we're getting a lot of stuff. So I've been injured for 6 months and I've missed a few games. We're going to do a few more questions here. Wow, we've been going on a while. I've been really enjoying this one, guys, so thanks a lot. I've been injured for 6 months. I've missed a few games this season. How can I get back ASAP? I play U18s, and I really want to push for the first team. So JSM lads. First thing, mate, I understand I had an 8-month injury during college, and it's the worst. And I think I did this in the last live stream. It's the worst thing possible, especially if you love the sport as much as I do, which I'm assuming you do. But the thing is, you don't want to do what I did, which was rush back and aggravate your injury. My injury wasn't an 8-month injury. It became an 8-month injury because I didn't take the steps necessary to ease myself back into it. Now, one of the most frustrating things about being injured is that you see the level you're at before injury, and then you see that during your injury you do move down a little, and you expect that you're just going to be right back at that when you get over your injury, but that's not the case. You need to ease yourself into it. You need to come up with a program that's going to really kind of just build up back to that level. If you try and bite off more than you can chew, you're going to re-aggravate your injury, and you don't want to do that. You need to just focus on what I would focus on the fundamentals, because your touch is going to be a little bit off, your passing is going to be a little bit off, your control is going to be off. So focus a lot on those fundamentals. Focus on getting that strength back as well, doing exercises that help you build your endurance and stamina, but don't do too much at first. If you have a coach, get some recommendations from him on what you should be working out. And if he's not giving you individual attention for the injury, you need to come up with your own schedule that you can do in order to get back. But do not rush it. I really just encourage you, don't rush back. I know you want to. Trust me, I wanted nothing more than just get back on the pitch and start playing as hard as I was before, but you're just gonna re-injure yourself. So the big thing is, you gotta be a little bit patient here and just work your way up, and before you know it, you'll be right back at that level you were at, ready to go beyond. But you need to do the things that are gonna prevent you from getting injured again, if that makes sense. Okay, let's do one more question. Let's see them all. Okay. Let's get a good one. I'm going to go through a few here. All right, we got a lot. All right, here's one from Asteroids. I get really nervous of bodying other people since I'm weak and I don't want to fall. I've been trying my best to come over this and thinking to myself, it's not the end of the world, I need tips. So are you saying, I'm assuming you're saying that you're intimidated to be physical, which I understand because I used to, I'm talking to my cup all I want. Nah, sorry about that. Because you don't want to, I don't know what it is. I used to be like this. Maybe you're a little timid to like shoulder someone or use your body. Just recognize first and foremost, this is a physical game. You're gonna have to. It's once you kind of just recognize the fact that you need to be physical. It's a physical sport, no matter what anyone tells you. Running for 90 minutes, running up to like 10 miles for 90 minutes, full of sprints and things, weakens your body. And if you're not strong on the ball and you're pushed off it easily, it's something you need to work on. But here's the thing, even if you're small and scrawny and skinny, although that's not ideal, there are many players who are small, like short, but are able to body the hell out of players. You look at one of my favorite examples, and of course, these players are still strong, they still work out, and they still have a solid build, but you do not need to be Mr. Muscles to be an effective physical soccer player. You don't need to be jacked. You need to be healthy, you need to be fit, you need to be working on certain areas, and yes, you should be working on strength areas as well, so you can better fend off defenders and win the ball from defenders. But recognize that it's how you use your body, not necessarily how big your body is. There are plenty of players who have not been as strong as a certain player yet being able to body them off the ball. One of my favorite examples is Raheem Sterling. When he was at Liverpool, even early into his development, so 18, 19, 20, he used to always be able to do this. He wasn't the strongest, but he was tough. He would not get pushed off the ball easily. He got low. He would fight for the ball every single time. Show the defender that you're going to fight for it, that he's not getting it from you easily. Use your body correctly. Protect the ball. Always think that. Protect the ball, because they're not allowed to go through you. They can't just throw you out of the way or put their studs through you. I mean, they can try. You'll get a foul. They'll get a card. So that's advantageous. But if you learn to just protect the ball, even if you're a little scrawny, even if you're skinny, and I was a skinny, scrawny player for the longest time. I'm still kind of a skinny, scrawny player. It doesn't, you're fine. You just have the mentality to go in. This is a physical sport. I'm expected to be physical. It's fine. Like, you're going to have to get used to that. But remember, you don't need to be huge to fend players off. You just need to learn how to use your body correctly, how to shield the ball, how to get low, how to protect it. And if you do that, you'll be on your way. But definitely, if you're at the age where you can start putting on a little muscle, look into strength exercising, look into strength training, body weight exercises, and all that. Okay, guys. So I think how to analyze professional soccer. I'll answer that really quick. And golden goal, I did answer that earlier in the stream. So how to analyze a match? It's just simple. Just watch the match and keep thinking to yourself, why did he do that? So what I like to do is, I'm a striker, so I will analyze the strikers. I mean, I'll be analyzing most of the match, but like, let's say Chelsea's playing Man City. I will keep my eyes on Costa and Aguero for the most part. Even when they don't have the ball, I'll be like, okay, I'm going to watch Aguero's movement here and see what he's doing. Why is he he's doing that to drag the defender out. Okay, why is Costa doing that? Okay, he's holding the ball up, waiting for his team to catch up with him. And I'll be analyzing these things and taking mental notes of them so that I can use them in my own matches in similar situations. So that's all you're doing. You just ask yourself questions throughout the match and then answer those questions. Like, why did he do that? Why did he not pass there and decide to dribble instead? Did he make the right decision there? That's all you got to do. Just start asking those kind of questions, okay? So guys, I think that's going to be it. Good luck at your game. Russian Semenko. We're gonna stop it here. I want to thank you guys so much for tuning in. I really appreciate all of you that come out to the live streams. We'll be doing another one on Friday, next Friday. And remember, we do release videos every single day, so definitely come back tomorrow at 5 p.m. I really do appreciate all of you guys coming on to chat and hang out with me live. I know you guys, your time's valuable, so I really appreciate it. All right, guys, until next time, I'll talk to you later. Now we're getting into that awkward phase where I have to turn off the camera and you get to see my cool Liverpool shirt. All right, guys. See you later.